Hi everyone, Patrick Marks here. Thanks for watching. Today's topic, Disproving Atheism Part 4, answering some objections. One of the most common objections that I've seen down in the comments section and on other videos here on YouTube is the question of where does God come from? Some people are saying that the chain of reasoning that I've been using in the last 3 videos is actually a case of the logical fallacy of special pleading. The logical fallacy of special pleading is also known as a double standard. A good example of special pleading would be saying, you can't tell other people what to do. But of course, by saying this, you are telling people what to do by telling them that they can't tell other people what to do. That's a double standard, and that's what special pleading is. Well, in this case, people are saying that I'm using the fallacy of special pleading because I'm saying that the universe could not have come from nothing, while at the same time somehow saying that God came from nothing. But that's not what I've been saying at all. I have never stated that theists, that is, people who believe in the God of the Bible, think that God came from nothing. Instead, theists believe that God exists in a pure, eternal state. So God did not come from nothing. God is not the effect of any cause. He is uncaused. And in all honesty, this is very similar to what atheists are actually saying. If there is no uncaused pure being that is the foundation of all cause and effect, then that means that the universe itself must be uncaused. In fact, the famous cosmologist Carl Sagan, in his 1980s series called The Cosmos, said that the cosmos is all that there is, all that there ever was, and all that there ever will be. In other words, he believed that the universe itself is eternal and uncaused. So it's actually special pleading on the part of atheists who say that the idea that there's a God who is uncaused is somehow meaningless, while at the same time saying that it's not meaningless to say that the universe itself is uncaused, and that's a meaningful statement. That's a double standard, and that's special pleading. But in any case, the universe itself is actually a mass of parts. Each one of the parts is an effect that needs a cause. How do we know that this is the case? Well, the most proven observations in all of science are the first and second laws of thermodynamics. The first law of thermodynamics explains that energy in the universe is a constant. That means that energy simply changes from one form into another, but there's no new energy simply popping into existence out of nothing. The second law of thermodynamics explains that when energy changes form, some of it is lost to usefulness forever. In other words, the usable energy in the universe is slowly burning out. Now, when you examine the expansion rate of the universe and factor in the laws of gravity, you find that the universe is expanding at a measurable rate. So since the universe is expanding at a measurable rate and not shrinking, and no new energy is available, and the second law says that the universe is slowly burning out, that means that the universe must have had a beginning. The universe is not eternal. It had a beginning, it had a starting point, and it will burn out. So either the universe is equal to the sum of all of its parts, or the universe must be more than the sum of all of its parts. Okay, add this up now. If the universe is equal to the sum of all of its parts, but the first law of thermodynamics tells us that that sum is always equal. It's not getting bigger or smaller. And the first law says that no new energy is being created or destroyed. That all adds up to the fact that the universe itself needs a cause. Only if the universe is more than the sum of all of its parts could it be uncaused and eternal. But if you say that the universe is more than the sum of all of its parts, then you're saying exactly what the theists are saying. You're saying that there is something that is greater than time, space, and matter, something that is greater than the sum of all of the parts and all the effects that we see in the universe. So what is that something or someone? Dr. Norman Geisler explains it this way. Just ask yourself this question. If everything that is contingent, that is, everything that had a beginning, were to suddenly cease to exist, would there be anything left? If you say, no, nothing would exist, then you're saying that the universe itself as a whole is contingent and therefore needs a cause. Why? Because the existence of the whole is dependent upon the parts. But if you say, yes, something would remain, then you're saying there really is something that is uncaused and not dependent upon the sum of the parts. Either way, the atheist position just doesn't follow. The universe itself cannot be uncaused and eternal because the first laws and the second law of thermodynamics say that that can't be. The only way it could be uncaused and eternal is if the first and the second laws are actually false, yet all observations show that they are true. What's really obvious is that both atheists and theists have the same data, the same facts, but they look at those facts differently through a different framework. This framework or point of view is also called a worldview, and what we're really seeing here is a clash of worldviews, how to interpret this data. In my next video, I plan to look at the atheist worldview and the theist worldview and see which one is more logically consistent. I owe much of my understanding of these ideas to Dr. Norman Geisler, Dr. Ron Rhodes, C.S. Lewis, Dr. Jason Liesel, and some others. I only say this because I don't want to be guilty of plagiarism. I'm getting my ideas from them. And finally, I've taken some heat for trying to add some humor into my videos. Well, all I can say about that is that not everybody finds Robin Williams funny, but it didn't stop him from trying to tell a joke. But if you do find what I've been saying interesting or funny or provocative, then I encourage you to subscribe to my channel. But either way, don't forget to be good, don't do anything evil, and I'll see you next time.